Gamora's story starts with a loss. When Gamora was very young, the interplanetary warlord Thanos killed half of her species, the Zehoberei. Although she and her mother attempted to hide, they were quickly found by Thanos' soldiers and taken out to the spotlight. Gamora fought off the soldier restraining her, an act that Thanos himself saw, which earned her the Titan's interest in her and his respect for her fierce nature.
What's wrong, little one?
He took her aside and taught her his beliefs on balance by symbolizing it by balancing a knife on his finger. That was the moment when a story started evolving in itself. The soldiers began the massacre. Gamora turned and almost saw her people being massacred. However, Thanos turned her attention back onto the knife and complimented her when she finally balanced the dagger. While her parents were among those killed, Thanos spared and raised her as his own child. At this point, we were sure that something big has started its process. Most of us felt that the fire that Gamora had in her eyes would be the reason for Thanos' downfall. Time, as usual, played its part, and Gamora grew older. Thanos trained her in the arts of combat and assassination, and would cybernetically alter her body, trying to transform her into the ultimate weapon. This was the ultimate goal that Thanos had in his mind, to give way to a weapon which could aid him in his motto. During all of this, somewhere around the corner, we started to get a feel that Thanos got connected to her emotionally. He considered her as his child. Maybe this seed got sown in the mightiest heart. Unlike the rest of Thanos' adopted children in the Black Order, Gamora and Nebula did consider each other sisters, and both shared great enmity towards Thanos for destroying their childhoods. Despite their closeness, Thanos had Nebula and Gamora regularly fight against each other, with Gamora winning every match. In response, Thanos would upgrade Nebula every time she lost against Gamora in order for her to be her equal. The consistent and brutal upgrades caused Nebula to grow to resent her sister. Over the years, Gamora became Thanos' favorite child, and he considered her the future heir to his throne, which only strengthened the growing wedge in her relationship with Nebula. In time, Gamora built up the reputation as the deadliest woman in the galaxy, and became well known throughout the cosmos. Upon reaching adulthood, Gamora and her siblings were tasked with finding the Infinity Stones, with Thanos entrusting her to find the Soul Stone. She succeeded when she found a map leading to its vocation on Vormir, but she burned it and lied to Thanos that she failed. Thanos was aware of the lie, but he remained silent and played a disappointed face. Later, Gamora and Nebula sought the powerful item known as the Orb for Thanos under the command of Korath. The quest for the Orb was all that she had in her life. From fighting wars to participating in the cleansing of the population, she did everything that was instructed by her adopted father. She never felt that the vicious cycle of life that she was into would come to an end until she met the Star-Lord. Her life changed its gears and was all set to get evolved. Starting a fight with Star-Lord and his teammates, her life journey got rerouted. She got arrested with the Star-Lord and his teammates for civil disruption and sent to the kiln for incarceration. Having stepped into the prison, every inmate immediately turned their attention to Gamora, taunting her with threats and throwing rubbish at her. Rocket explained it was due to many of the inmates having lost their families to Thanos and Ronan the Accuser. Despite the endless threats, Gamora remained calm, telling Quill, the Star-Lord, that nothing she could experience here would compare to what she had experienced while working for Thanos.
Whatever nightmares the future holds are dreams compared to what's behind me.
Rocket Raccoon came up with a plan to get them out of the prison. They successfully managed to get out from there. That incident made a place for Star-Lord and Gamora to have a journey together. They all reached the Nowhere planet, where she admitted that she was no longer loyal to Ronan or Thanos because he killed her parents and turned her into an assassin.
When Thanos took my home world, he killed my parents in front of me. He tortured me, turned me into a weapon.
Ronan the Accuser, Nebula, and a platoon of Sakaran soldiers suddenly arrived, having been summoned to Nowhere by Drax the Destroyer, who intended to kill him in an act of revenge for murdering his family on Kylos. However, at the same time, the Ravagers, led by Yondu Udamka, also arrived at the space colony, having been given the location of the Collector by the Broker. Yondu located Star-Lord and attempted to capture him for his betrayal. As she watched in horror as Ronan confronted Drax, Gamora decided to escape with the orb and bestow it to the Nova Corps for safekeeping. A series of sequence went on within its route to defy fate, but what was written will come to its existence. The prime example of this was Thanos bringing back Gamora into his ship. He tried to reconnect with his lost daughter, but she rebuffed his offer of food, throwing the food he offered at his throne, which she bitterly said she always hated, as well as the ship and her life.
I hated this room. The ship. I hated my life.
But Thanos responded by saying he had always hoped that one day Gamora would sit on his throne after him. Thanos then took Gamora to see Nebula suspended in a field with her cybernetic body parts pulled apart. Using the Power Stone, Thanos tortured her in front of Gamora to make her reveal the location of the Soul Stone. Thanos then proceeded to ask Gamora once more where the Soul Stone was, causing her to contemplate in silence and anguish. After having tortured Nebula some more with the Infinity Stones, Gamora finally relented and told Thanos the stone was on the planet Vormir. The unwilling sacrifice was the next chapter in her life. Upon reaching Vormir, they were greeted by the Red Skull, who knew their identities, and he referred to Thanos as the son of Alars, and Gamora as the daughter of Thanos. Sacrifice was what he asked Thanos. Thanos was crying because he would have to sacrifice Gamora, as he truly loved her as his daughter. Genuinely surprised, and for a brief moment almost happy, Gamora still quickly attempted suicide to prevent Thanos from attaining the stone. But Thanos easily turned her dagger to bubbles and tearfully apologized, and, while still in tears, dragged her over to the cliff and threw her to her death. Thanos then awakened with the Soul Stone in his hand. After Thanos snapped his fingers with the Infinity Gauntlet during the Battle of Wakanda, he was transported to the Soul World inside the Soul Stone. There, Gamora's soul met Thanos in her child form, and calmly asked if he had done it, and the resigned Thanos told her he had achieved his goal. Gamora asked what it had cost, and Thanos sadly smiled and said it cost him everything, referring to how she was the only thing he loved. Accepting defeat, Gamora sadly smiled before Thanos returned to reality. Endgame brought her back through the time heist, allowing her 2014 self to jump to the present. Gamora's future was left uncertain, and it's unknown where she went after the events of Endgame. But this isn't the end of her story, surely. She will be back with a bang, making her presence tick the corners soon. Till then, be connected with the Evo family, as we'll be back with another superhero evolution just for you soon.